Okay, everybody, good morning. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well today. And should be a little bit of a quieter day today. There's no practice. Players have the day off at the VMAX, so unless we get, say, a contract extension, going to be relatively peaceful today, I think. So let's hope for that. I'm hoping for that anyway. And short of that, we'll be kind of chilling out here. Just a few more days until we get a little bit of preseason action, but before we get there, I want to talk about this Seahawks roster a little bit and talk about one of the problems this team may have. And you look at this team, you look at this roster, I don't think you're going to find that many potential problems. You're going to feel good about most of it. But I want to talk about one of the things that I'm wondering about as we get closer to the season. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And when you look at this Seahawks team and you start thinking about the things that could derail them or at the very least make them come up short, there are a few things, right? Brian Fleury could end up not being good as a play caller. The running back situation could end up not turning out the way we want it to and not give us enough balance in our offense to maintain the system that we want to run. Maybe the interior offensive line, although I'm not hearing a lot of people concerned about that, but that is something that some people might point to. The edge rushers not being good enough because we didn't really add that much to the room this offseason. So it's a series of different things that add up to some stuff that is worth being concerned about, but realistically, every team in the league has concerns. So I'm not sitting here and saying that it's a problem that we have areas of the team that we might be a little bit not so enthusiastic about. But I want to talk about another kind of small yet potentially significant element of this team that I am wondering about. It's the cornerbacks. Specifically, it's the size of the cornerbacks and wondering whether or not they're going to be able to match up against bigger wide receivers and what they might do if it becomes a problem after the season starts. Now, don't get me wrong, I like our corners. I like our starting outside corners. Devin Witherspoon is one of the best corners in football. Josh Jobe is a good enough number 2 corner, I think. I know that he is capable of having bad plays and bad games, but overall, I think that Josh Jobe is a perfectly fine player. And I think that he can get the job done in the role that we are asking him to play. But with those two guys being your starting outside corners, because remember, Nicky Manwari is a slot corner, and he doesn't really play on the outside at all, you might have a problem. Both of those players, Devin Witherspoon and Josh Jobe, are under 6 feet tall. Now, if you go to a Pro Football Reference, I know they give Witherspoon 6 feet and they give Jobe the 5'11", but I think they're both more or less 5'11 and a half if you go back to their combine, and they're both under 190. Now, Witherspoon plays physically. He plays like a much bigger player, I will grant you that. And Josh Jobe is also somebody who's willing to get physical and make the tough plays. So this isn't a critique of the way they play, but I do wonder if that size deficit that they're going to have in some of their matchups is going to be an issue. Last year, you had Reek Woolen, and for all of Reek Woolen's problems, he was excellent in coverage last year for most of the season, and he was also very tall, so he was a great matchup for bigger receivers. Right now, the Seahawks don't really have that corner that they can trust that is physically able to match up to taller receivers. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today and remember to always gamble responsibly. And if you look at the rest of the depth chart, the only guy that really stands out is Julian Neal. Julian Neal is a bigger corner, pushing up around 6'3", not too far off the height of Eamon Wari. And that's really about it. Like Nehemiah Pritchett is 6'1", which is a little bit better. It's a little bit above average, but it's still not exactly what you would be looking for. So as I look at this, I do wonder. I've been working under the assumption that Julian Neal would not play very much as a rookie because he's raw and we don't need him. Maybe we do need him a little bit for certain situations. And as this year goes along, I'm wondering if we're going to end up wanting a bigger corner. And just to be clear, this is not me advocating for us having re-signed Reek Woolen back in March. I think that was never going to happen, and I understand why, and I'm cool with it. But this is just me wondering, are we going to get hurt by it at some point? Because you look at our schedule, you look at the teams we play. Like week 1, you've got the Patriots. And I know everybody's mind might go to A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown is actually not that big. He's not even 6'1". I'm looking at guys like Romeo Dobbs, who is 6'2", and Mac Hollins, who is 6'4". Those are guys that will have noticeable, and in the case of Mac Hollins, a very big size advantage on our corners. And even in the case of somebody like Dobbs or going to A.J. Brown, they may not be as tall, but they are much bigger players than Witherspoon or Jobe. Like I said, both those guys are not even 190. Those 3 guys for the Patriots that I just mentioned are at least 200. I think A.J. Brown's probably a little bit more than that. He's probably around 210, 215. But however you want to slice it, this is, I think, a genuine concern. And then week 2, you go to Arizona, and you play Arizona twice this year. Remember, they've got Marvin Harrison Jr., who I know we're all making fun of him right now with good reason, but that's another bigger corner. And remember, the first time we played Arizona last year, you did have that fade route to the back corner of the end zone with Harrison against Witherspoon, and Harrison mossed him. Now, maybe not mossed, but did out-jump him and go up higher than Witherspoon to get the ball. So we've seen an example of Harrison using his size to beat Witherspoon. So could he do it again? And Michael Wilson is not small either. 6'2", 213 pounds. Noticeable advantage over both of our starting outside corners. Now, you keep going down the schedule here. Washington doesn't really have a bigger receiver. They got Treylon Burks, but he doesn't play that much. Maybe he'll play more this year. So Treylon Burks would be intimidating, I guess, because of his size. Luke McCaffrey's like 6'2", but he's really not that big. He's like 195, so that's a little bit different. And I think he's more of a slot guy right now. You get to the Chargers, Quentin Johnston, I guess. A little bit of a bigger guy. Also not particularly good, but also talented. Let's not completely bail on the guy quite yet, but 6'2", 208 pounds, it's a little bit of an advantage, right? You get to the 49ers, and I don't even think I need to say his name. This might be one of the big reasons why the 49ers went out and signed Mike Evans. 6'5", 231, one of the bigger receivers in football. If he can stay healthy this year, that is a big problem for this Seahawks secondary. Not in terms of his ability to get open necessarily. I don't know how much he can get open anymore, but his ability to go up and get it using what will be about a 6-inch height advantage over either of our starting outside corners. Yeah, that could be a problem. And again, we played the Niners twice, right? Just like we played the Cardinals twice. And then you get Denver. You got the Thursday game in Denver, and they've got Cortland Sutton at 6'4", another big-bodied receiver who knows how to use his size well. And Troy Franklin is 6'3". So we're just going through the teams we play. And with rare exception, these teams do have at least one wide receiver that can really challenge us vertically because our outside corners are on the shorter side right now. And look, it's worked so far. I've seen Witherspoon and Jobe have success against bigger receivers, but I do wonder at what point is it going to become an issue? Like, okay, you got Kansas City in week 7. They don't really have a big-bodied receiver right now. Tyquan Thornton is 6'2", but he's not a big-bodied guy. He's a speed guy. So, okay, that's fine. But then you got the Bears in week 8, and they've got Romeo Odunze, who probably going to finally break out this year. He's only 24, by the way. So as much as we rag on him, we got to give him time. He's 6'3". And we know, right? We know because he played college football right around here. So probably going to be an issue for these receivers. And if he breaks out and has the season that I know that he has in him, then when we play them in week 9, he's probably going to give us issues. Or week 8, excuse me. We get the Cardinals again, and then you get the Raiders. And look, I mean, the Raiders are still the Raiders, don't get me wrong, but Dante Thornton, 6'5" dude. Now, he's more of a speed threat, I know, but that is still a guy who can go up and get the ball over the top of our corners all day long. 6-inch advantage is going to show up at some point. Now, Dante Thornton has to prove he can actually earn a spot on the field. As of right now, I don't know if the Raiders are viewing him as one of their top 3 guys, but in this particular matchup, even if they're not enamored with him every week, they might be enamored with him that week because we present that particular matchup. And then you got the Niners we already talked about. Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, they've actually got 2 guys. Now, CeeDee Lamb, 6'2", and I don't really view CeeDee Lamb as like a bigger receiver. I don't view him as that kind of guy, that guy who can go up and get it over the top. I don't think that he'll really be a huge issue for our outside corners in that regard. But George Pickens, 6'3", much more of an outside receiver, and he's a guy who can really just high point the ball and find ways to win one-on-one situations. That could be a big issue. New York. Now, New York, we don't know exactly what they got at receiver until we figure out what's going on with Malik Neighbors, but they do have Malachi Fields on the team, right? And Malachi Fields, he's, by the way, somebody's going to have to tell me what happened here. Like, did the Giants, this is a mistake, right? This has to be a mistake. I don't know where that comes from, but Malachi Fields is going to be one of the top big-bodied receivers in football if he can harness it. So you've got a little bit of an issue there with the Giants. Granted, we don't know if Fields is going to be anything yet, right? Eagles, okay. Eagles, you get a little bit of a favorable matchup. They don't have a big body anymore. Arguably, they never really did, but A.J. Brown was probably their biggest receiver. Then you get the Rams, and you play them twice right at the end of the year. Puka's a bigger receiver, 6'2", 216 pounds. Now, Devontae Adams, not really tall, but he does have a size advantage over our corners, at least a little bit. And you put those 2 things together, I do wonder if it could be a little bit of an issue here. Now, Woolen didn't really help us against Puka or Adams last season in the last 2 times we played the Rams. So I'm not saying that Woolen would have fixed everything, but you got to admit there is a size discrepancy here that you got to think about. And then you got the Panthers in week 17, and Het McMillan, one of the biggest receivers in football, 6'5" dude. Jalen Coker, Cokehead stand up. He's 6'3", bigger guy. And Xavier Legette could be another Deebo Samuel, 6'3". He's bigger than Deebo, right? Deebo is actually kind of a shorter guy. He's not really that big. He's just kind of squat. Xavier Legette is a big dude. So that's 3 receivers that they got over in Carolina that would have big size advantages against our outside corners. So just something that I've been thinking about lately, because I think this is something that kind of slips under the radar because our corners are good, right? Devin Witherspoon is one of the best in the league. Josh Jobe is a good number 2 corner. He can get it done. But neither guy has size. And you put him in matchups against bigger receivers or really good one-on-one high point receivers, could be an issue. And Julian Neal is the guy on this team who could step in theoretically and provide a matchup in that regard. So maybe Julian Neal's going to play a bigger role than I thought this year for the Seahawks. Maybe he's going to end up being a situational red zone type corner where you bring him in on red zone snaps to try to take away the jump balls and the fade routes in the back corner. Or maybe it's just something they live with and hope that the players can overcome it. Because, again, they are good, right? Witherspoon's a good player. Witherspoon's a really good player. It's just a matter of, will they be great in every situation you put them in? The answer is maybe not. All right, let me know what you guys think. Maybe this is something we revisit later in the season where if things aren't going so well, we hop on the trade market and try to find a bigger corner that we can put on the outside. That could happen too. But let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We'll have more videos later if needed.